Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for quite the treat today. We've got former officer Alex Cooney, who resigned from the force last year. He did a big letter out to the force to say, guys, there's something wrong here. There's something seriously not right with how we're policing these things. It's not constitutional. It doesn't make sense. The science doesn't make sense. So today, I'm very grateful Cooney has decided to join me. And a lot of you guys would have seen that there was that Vimeo video of him going around this last week. Just to put things into perspective for you guys, the time is moving very, very slowly. If you look at last Monday, that was when the CFMEU was being protested by their own members outside. That's how much has happened in the last week. And we've seen a lot of police brutality in Victoria, and we've seen a ton of things happen. But today I've got Alex Cooney, who was from the New South Wales Police Force. Alex, I want to welcome you to the show.
No, thanks for having me. Nice to chat.
Alex, there were so many different ways I thought we could start this interview. I was watching, I think a lot of people saw this interaction between that police officer that was talking with that young protester. And let me know if you haven't seen it. And he basically, the young protester saying, what am I going to do? I can't pay for anything. How am I going to feed my kids? I've lost my job. And then the police officer says, look, I get paid to do this. I'm going to always be here. And, I can just keep coming back. And if you look at that exchange, you did sort of see the police officer was lost for words. He didn't know what to say to this person that was just, they'd lost everything. What sort of things are you seeing in the police force? Can you help me humanize them?
From the police perspective, you want to hear from, or
Yeah,
from the
absolutely,
yeah.
mate.
So just prior to this call, mate, sorry, I might tear up here, mate. I just got off the phone to a mate. He was forced to get the jab for work. Excuse me. He didn't want it. He was adamantly never getting it. Unfortunately, he's got a family and he's trying to do what's best for his family at the moment. So, mate, there's a lot going on with the police. They don't want to be enforcing this stuff, is the bottom line. They're essentially removing themselves from the community. They're becoming isolated. They're really feeling the pinch. For them to perform their duties, they've almost got to go into another mode. They've got to remove empathy from themselves, compassion, and be like almost in robot mode to enforce this on the population. Mate, a lot of them are really struggling with it.
Do you think that we've basically thrown out decades of building a relationship with the population, because you do really need an element of legitimacy to actually enforce police officer orders, because like when we do policing, the idea of it is, look at me preaching to you about how we do policing. Correct me if I'm wrong. The idea is that we get people from the community that understand the community, so that when they enforce these orders, it softens the blows. It's like, because the law is harsh. What damage do you see sort of being done in that relationship?
Mate, police are being divided with the community. Community are becoming fearful of the police. Within our statement of values, within the police, that relationship is paramount. We're meant to uphold that. We're meant to be part of the community. And instead, the opposite's happening.
I've often actually had a number of police officers reach out to me and talk about, the way that relationship is fracturing. Some of them have said that, this thing, it comes in waves. It's, when Black Lives Matter was around, it was like at a low, but, then it picks up in more peaceful times. Do you see this bouncing back anytime soon, this relationship?
It's possible, but what needs to happen is it needs to be done from the ground up. The troops themselves have to bring this on. They need to comprehend what is happening, unite and stand together and say, why are we police? What are we here to uphold? What are our core values? What is the law? What are we doing? Are we here for these people? Are we here for the community? Or are we here for these individuals at the top of the ladder?
Yeah. California had a number of sheriffs over the course of this past 2 years stand up and actually say, we're not enforcing this. This is unconstitutional. And we really saw something that's rare, in this country, which is, some leadership, which is nice for a change to see it over there. Um, do you? I don't know. What's the sense in the force? Because it seems like they've turned into such a robot. I can't read them. Do you see anything like that sprouting out?
Mate, to perform what they're being asked to do, I can't see another way of performing that without almost removing yourself, spiritually from there. You are just literally going through the motions, and that's you can see it in their eyes. Um, Police, the person there is not there. Like every individual police officer has a family. They are part of the community.
Mm.
But what they're doing to have to perform these roles, they've got to go to another place. And the phone calls that I'm getting and the police I'm speaking to can't handle it. They're getting home breaking down at the end of every shift. They've got to be able to live with themselves, and at the moment they're really conflicted.
With some of the nurses, when they've got their deadlines coming up, I think they've one or twice they've had that deadline pushed back. Can you see that happening with policing? If not enough officers, there's a big, there's tens of thousands of New South Wales officers that just haven't taken it yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's going. It's we haven't hit that date yet, and they haven't been clear as to the actions as to how they're going to what they're going to do against these officers who choose not to have the jab.
Right.
So we're not there. It's still up in the air in some ways. So we'll know more at the 30th. But the amount of police that didn't want it and have have taken it through pure coercion
Mm.
is that's probably the majority. And then you're probably going to have like 10-20% who are just adamantly not going to have it.
Do you think it was carefully crafted in terms of they left the police till last to mandate the jabs? Do you think they did that intentionally so that they get the police to have that special privilege of not having to choose to take the jab and then get them to enforce all of these mandates on the people and then finally finish off with them? Do you think that was their thinking, or was just the luck of the draw?
Look, definitely got everyone by surprise, and maybe that was a tactic. Now, what you're alluding to is that there are agendas here at play, and this is a global agenda. Um,
No,
I mentioned, yeah,
I
I meant,
genuinely mean, not sorry to cut you off. I genuinely mean, like, maybe the health officials are like, well, if we want to get the highest result, then this is how we're going to do it. So it's sort of coming from Dr. Chan and the health department. But maybe
yeah.
some people would say that, yeah, it might be a global agenda thing.
Look, this is happening globally. In the original letter I listed, I did raise those concerns, and I did raise the concerns that I didn't want police to be imposed in any way upon the community who choose not to be vaccinated. I did raise that um, police have the choice, should have the choice as to whether they have the vaccine or not. And, that was like 12 months ago.
Mm.
So, police and the police force and all that have been aware that something's coming. We could see it a mile off. I know you've interviewed people who, could see this coming a mile off.
Mm.
And, the way it sort of played out was, I think, shocked so many people and almost coerced more into having a shot than ordinarily wouldn't have if they had time to sit down and research.
Yeah. This is obviously, come at great cost to you. I mean, this is not a situation anyone wants to be in. You've got, a young son, you've got a lovely wife, and, this has basically put you in the situation where you've lost your main source of income. That's not acceptable, in my opinion, of course. And I don't think that's debatable, when it comes to what's happening in this crisis, because, I mean, it really makes you question where they're coming from when they start laying off good people like yourself, but also paramedics that are sorely needed, like John Larder,
Yeah.
as we saw last week on Tuesday. What has this cost you, speaking out?
Well, all my income, for one. Um, yeah, basically a job that I enjoyed, and mate. It was everything, but it's the right thing to do. It was, I, I couldn't not, I'm not going to be coerced into have something that I don't want to. I'm not going to be, manipulated to have my freedoms taken away. I've got a son. I need to be here for him. I need to be here for my partner. There's a lot at stake here, and if we start to waver, which is what's happening, the government can do whatever they want to us, or whoever's behind the government. We can be, they can put whatever they want into our bodies. They can lock us up wherever they want, and essentially that's where we're heading. We keep allowing them each step of the way to take more and more from us. Essentially, we're going to be where we will be.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, it certainly seems like, where is this going to end? I mean, you look over at Israel as of the 1st of September, they're up to their third booster jab. And so what that means is that they can't be allowed into polite society. So they're at a different chapter in this story.
Well, on
Yeah.
that too, like is the definition now of vaccinated? You've have to have been vaccinated within the last 3 months. So you could have had everything and then just chose not to have one. All of a sudden, you're back in the pen with all those who don't want the jab.
That's right. And then I think this is a tactical error being made by government. I'm curious to hear what you think, because we're reaching a point where, if you look overseas, they're at that point where we've got a big bunch of people, a majority of people that have generally followed the rules and gotten the jab, and followed. If they've said to stay. I think you said this to me. The government's told me to stand on the dot, and I've stood on the dot. Whereas this guy over here, he's done nothing. And I'm being treated the same way. And a lot of people are cracking it at the government, especially in the UK. They're saying no vaccine passports. I don't want it. Do you? I mean, it's at the same time, I laugh because it just seems like an obvious tactical error to me, because not only are they pushing that, they're also pushing a second thing, which is they're basically want to jab kids under 12. And so you see all these articles coming out saying, we're going to jab the kids, and the kids are the forgotten group of people in the country that have not been jabbed. And it's like, what is your agenda? What are you actually trying to do here? The kids have, kids below the age of 4 actually have a better chance at surviving this than me, and I have no underlying, conditions. I'm only 24. I don't smoke. I don't drink excessively, and I eat pretty well. I mean, it makes you wonder.
Oh, it does. Like, where is choice and where is your freedoms? Are they going to start mandating everyone eat healthily for their health? Like, come on.
Mm. Do you think that do you think the government? Do you think this is going to become like a Netflix subscription thing, where you have to get a jab and every few months?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's already playing out that way. They're already talking about boosters. They're talking about future boosters. They're talking about vaccine passports. They're talking about not letting people into shops if you haven't had a jab. Like this poor shopkeeper who wants to run a business, and now all of a sudden he's got to be a policeman and he's going to lose a heap of his clientele. He's going to try and
Yeah.
run a business, and you know, show me the evidence that this thing travels from a person to another person and then makes that person sick.
Yeah.
Like,
What
what
was
are
it?
they running off?
Yeah, but what was it that made you initially question that? Because as someone that tries to wake people up, I try to do
Yeah,
that every day. I've been doing it for the last year. You've been at it, for a long time now. What was it
yeah,
that made you click? What? Because I've spoken to a number of officers, and it's been a different thing for each one of them. What was it for you?
yeah. Everyone has a certain thing that'll wake them up, so to speak. Like I don't like using the wake asleep term, so essentially, that's the easiest way to put it. Mate, I don't know. I don't actually have a clicking point, but what I do know is that the media, what was said on the media, I knew that it just made no sense that the same thing was said on every channel and every radio station all the time. Like, where's the independent media? It just made no sense. So I just initially stopped listening to the news, and I guess removing myself from, I guess, the mainstream narratives just sort of gave me a broader perspective of when something was announced, what actually happened in the background, I guess.
Mm.
So what actually happened for me was I was at work, and I generally turn the news off when it comes on the radio. But for some reason I didn't. And they said similar to 3 people have been died or tested positive or whatever for a coronavirus in China. No alarm though. And I was like, why would that be in our news? Like, that has no relevance to anything. And I said to the person I was working with, watch this blowout, because that just came from nowhere. And
Right.
so yeah, I was sort of onto it from the get go.
Wow, that's actually a good pickup. That is a good question. Why was it being broadcast so early? It's like,
Yeah.
what's the relevance of that? And you know, they still do it. Even now, they talk about the Black Death being rediscovered in some rural property in the outback of China, and it's like,
Mm.
oh, this might be the next, you know, COVID. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what do you guys? Cool. Um,
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, Alex. You know, I was at when Black Lives Matter were marching through the streets in our country. I think it was last year. I was not happy about it. I wasn't happy about it at all. But you know, I respected their right to protest. Um, my problem was with the values and the reason why they were marching. You know, I was once a Black Lives Matter supporter when I was a progressive in 2016 and 2017. But I was given the opportunity to talk with a lot of cops about, you know, the importance of protecting our statues and our history and understanding it. And some of these were mounted police at the Captain Cook statue in New South Wales. I honestly, I don't see how we're going to mend this. You know, this tear between us. You know, I look at what's happened in America, and I see a country that has gone through the worst of the Black Lives Matter protests for George Floyd, riots, 40 people dead, a former black, um, you know, you know, I think it was a sheriff that died as well. I forgot his name. The guy was a hero. He died for his friend. Um, you know, I'm worried that we're going to go the same way as America, where the people who once supported the police then say, you know, they were once saying back the blue, and now they're saying, you know, F the blue, screw the blue. They can, you know, they shouldn't have been enforcing these mandates. We backed them when they were the risk of being defunded and this and that. I honestly, I'm really worried about this because it's like, who are you going to
Yeah.
call when it all
That's
goes
right.
to crap? There's a socialist revolution coming in the coming years, and people don't realize it. And it's like they're going to riot and loot and burn and bully people. You're going to need the police, and that's the biggest tragedy that I've seen with losing the police. It's like, who are you going to call on? What do you think about all that?
Yeah. I think I've got a bit to say on that. Let's go firstly from the public side of things before I get into the police. What is happening now, I wholly believe, is an evolution in human consciousness. This is where we're going to have to learn love and action love. Um, as we get there, like these people going to the protests, keep turning up, keep standing for your rights, but do it lovingly. Don't do it violently. And through that show of doing this, more and more people will start to get it. Show the other side to be violent or to come unstuck, so to speak. Now, for police, it's going to be up to the members of the police force. Now, this is completely mendable and can be done with apologies and through actions. Now, police on their side have law, they have truths and facts, they have their statement of values, which is here in New South Wales. I'm not sure the equivalent of other states, which govern the way that they are to perform and act with the community. They have all these things that are on their side if they choose to disobey these directions and stand with the people. What they don't have on their side is the orders they've been given and who they've been given them by. So if they choose to unite and say no to these orders, that's where the change will come in. People will see that. The crowd will embrace police. Police are the community. It will just become one. It will be pretty simple and pretty quick. But it's gonna take the troops.
All right. It just, yeah. Look, I'm trying to
Look,
imagine.
if right now down in Melbourne, like we know what's happening, maybe mainstream don't, okay? But there's hundreds of thousands of people in the street. There's media blackout, and it's police versus the citizens at the moment. All that has to happen is those police to just hold the space for those people to have their say, there won't be an incident. All the protest organisers are saying to do things peacefully, do things in honour, do things equitably. We just need to stand for our rights, because if we don't stand for our rights, no one will do it for us. And that's what these people are doing. Police respect that, and happy days, you know. Maybe someone steps out of line, okay. But in the whole, these protesters are fine. But with police coming down on them heavily, there's going to be those interactions which will blow out on media, and, you know, it'll take things another way. Yeah, mate, that's what's got to be. It's got to be the troops. And enforcing this the way they are, you know, is unlawful. You know, they are removing human rights. They're doing things under these public health orders that have no basis at law, you know, purely Biosecurity Act, you know, for one, you know, requires them to have an individual have an order placed on them in writing after a whole heap of checks and balances put through. You know, there's things like that. In New South Wales, the health orders haven't even been signed by the minister. They come into effect once it's signed. Like, you know, it's ludicrous as to all of that. And as soon as police can start to see this, and they see that they're going to be okay, and are seeing that they're actually doing the right thing, by allowing these people to have their say, by not enforcing these orders that are unlawful, mate, it'll turn the ship pretty quick.
Yeah. What's your message to the officers right now that are basically facing these mandatory jabs?
Look, it's really rough. I do actually think a lot of them will probably be out of work from the 30th. Now, these people have families. You know, like phone calls I had just before I got here. People are really scared. They do not want this stuff in their body. This is an experiment. They've got to do this for their family, for their mortgage, for their, you know, for their future. They think, mate, it's a really rough spot for them to be in. But it's going to hit a point, because they're going to keep wanting them to be injected with these jabs. And when are they going to say no to it? If they collectively say no, or if enough of them stand up, you know, maybe these agendas will sort of go away. But yeah, in the immediate future, it's kind of rough to see, and I'm just trying to support them the best I can.
Yeah, and you're a good man, Alex. You know, there aren't many people in their industry speaking up, and yeah, I've been eager to get in touch with anyone speaking up for their industry. You know, that's what this series is about. We've had Mac from the teachers, we've had Graham Hood, who had to resign as Qantas pilot, and we've had John Larder, who's a paramedic. I just
Like,
don't
this
know.
This comes down to like your integrity as a person. You know, it doesn't matter if they're offering cordial. Like, if that's an offer, fine. But if they're forcing you to drink it, that's stepping over the line. You have a choice. This is your body in this lifetime, and to be pushed and coerced to have to live on this earth through what they're forcing you to take is just wrong.
Craig Kelly has called for, you know, an inquiry into police brutality in Victoria. And, you know, first off, the obvious question is, where is Black Lives Matter supporting this? But, you know, what's your hope that would come out of an inquiry for Victoria or even New South Wales?
Yeah. Look, I feel it's coming. I feel that there will be royal commissions into this. What I do fear is that there'll be a lot of collateral damage when that stuff happens. As you probably know from the Nuremberg trials, just because you followed a direction doesn't mean you got out of being prosecuted for your crimes against humanity. I fear that may happen to a lot of these police.
That's one of the things that a former officer said to me. He said, Joel, if you're going to appeal to police officers in whatever context, in your videos or whatever, he said, remember to tell them this. The higher up officers don't care about you. If you get thrown, they don't care if they throw you under the bus as a lower officer. If you're just, you know, the grunt enforcing the stuff, they're going to just, you can say you were just following orders, but the higher ups will take care of each other. You're on your own. Well, is there any truth to that?
Yeah, and what I'd like to do is, excuse me, I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to read out the Black's Law definition of a constable.
No,
Okay.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
excuse me. I'm going to go to the Cops of Code Truth Telegram page where I posted this, and
That's all right. Yeah. I had
because this is important, because police are accountable for their actions even if they're given a direction from above.
mm,
Constable, an independent office dating back to at least the time of Henry I in England. A constable has independent authority to exercise his or her office. A constable cannot be directed by the government or senior police as to who he or she should prosecute. A constable's duty to enforce the law is a personal responsibility, and the constable is answerable only to the law, not to his or her senior officers.
mm,
So
yeah.
you are accountable for your actions as a constable. So this is what I say: if these constables want to actually say no, sorry, sir, like do things honourably. I'm not saying be belligerent. The system is set up in your favour to disobey these unlawful directions, and just say, look, sir, I'm not going, or sir or ma'am, whoever the authority is, no, that's unlawful. That's all they have to do. And everything is on their side. If they, whatever happens internally, the internal policies are on their side, the statement of values is on their side, the law is on their side, and the truth and evidence is on their side.
Mm.
It is
I,
in their best interest to stand with the people, or support the people in this cause.
mm. And and if they were willing to take it all the way, it might even cost them their job, just so they
Yes.
know what they're getting themselves into. But that's the price, isn't it? I mean, you're right. There are children growing up now that are going to remember all of these traumas. They're going to remember being pepper sprayed in the face. They're going to remember all of these things, and they're going to be the martyrs that we put on the front, because they're going to want to be there, because they are traumatized by the things that police have put us through. It was a very blunt tool to use, the police, and I've never blamed the police directly. I've always blamed the politicians, but ultimately the police are the hand of the government, and they do have a moral choice. And if I didn't see leadership like the leadership I see with Alex Cooney and coppers around the world, namely in California, the sheriff I referenced before, then I wouldn't demand this of cops. But this is the problem, when you open a dialogue with the police, you work out very quickly that these are just people like you and me, and unfortunately, they're not just robots. They do have a choice, and they can resign or disobey unlawful orders, and it's very frustrating, Alex. Just seeing, if you want to punish someone, you punish them for doing something good, something right, something righteous, and that's what's being done to you right now, Alex. And I just want to say, look, I just hope that um, this isn't the end of it. We will be having royal commissions into all of this stuff, and those police officers that are enforcing these things that have come down too hard or just following orders, we will be going after every single one of them.
Look,
Because
what I can say to that is that you can see how those behind these agendas, these corporate political agendas, how hard they're trying to hold on to this. They have to censor everything they can. They have to put propaganda down your throat constantly, 24/7 on mainstream media. They have to use every weapon they got. The police, the military, the doctors have to lose their licenses, teachers have to lose their jobs. Like, they are trying so hard to hold on to this thing because it's an absolute lie, and the truth is being exposed. People are, back to that term, waking up really quick. I do fear we're going to hit the tipping point where all of a sudden they've lost, people come back, and I do really feel it's going to get there. What I do think the positives out of this are, though, is that we are going to evolve to a place where our values are going to be far greater. We're not going to be chasing the shiny things as humans anymore. The big houses, the car every couple of years, a holiday at every bloody country I can go to. It's going to be like, hang on, I want my family. I want to be with the land. I want love. I want these core values that are being stripped from us at the moment. And I do feel that the two things that are coming is we will hit that tipping point and go over, and those accountable will be held accountable. But as humanity as a whole, we will be in a better space after it. However, we've got to get there.
Absolutely. More power to you, Alex. I appreciate you speaking out early, calling this out early. I remember on the show that I did late last year with Ricardo, we did talk about, and I think he did read your letter and to police and just saying, oh, we screwed up, we messed up here. We need to turn this ship around, and that's what this show's all about. Is about giving good people, brave people like you a voice. Alex, is there anything you feel that people need to know about the police in this situation?
Yeah, people need to know that police are people, and when police inflict things that are morally, ethically wrong, they do actually hurt inside. We are actually getting to the police, and I know this because I have so many police contact me going, this is not right. I have police call me at the end of their shift going, I can't believe that we're just doing this. This is just, it's out of this world. Never thought it happened in this lifetime. It's not humane. Police are feeling this. And there's so many police. The thing is that the police don't know yet that there are so many police that are feeling this, that know that this is wrong. This is, this is why I say it needs to be, this is going to be one with love. When police hit that point where they break, as in, they actually hang on, I accept what I'm doing is wrong, we're going to be there as people to hold them and support them through it. We are going to be there. Thanks, brother. Thanks, sister. You're a fucking legend. Now let's try and get the rest of them through. Come back. This is happy. This is love. You don't have to be doing that stuff. And, and that's what'll happen when the police break down and show their vulnerability and show that they don't want to be doing this, enforcing these rules. The people are going to hold them. We'll be then saying thank you. That's what's going to happen. And, we'll have a lot from the 30th, I believe. Those people have stood their ground and probably potentially out of a job. But you know what's going to happen? We're going to hold them. We're going to love them. And that's going to go for any police officer that actually chooses to do the right thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've, as you said, we got their back. I mean, but it's a closing window. That's the thing. It's a closing window, guys. If you come out in the next few months, we've got you. Redemption is there. We still believe in forgiveness in this society, believe it or not. At least our side does anyway. Yeah. But
okay, so police are fed not only the mainstream narrative, right? Fear, 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 fear. But they're getting that from internally as well. And they're like, fear, 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 you must do this. And the orders are strong and direct. Police are copping triple barrels, and they get these protests, or they're feeling like they've got to stop this this person that's never been in trouble their whole life for wanting to breathe fresh oxygen, for not wearing a mask. Like, police join the force because they want to be there when people need them. That is their purpose. That is why they join. They want to be the help. They don't want to be the enemy.
Absolutely. And that's why I've always told people, if you do want to protest, it must be peaceful, because if there's one way if you want to get these police offside, the good police officers, and they're on the fence and they're not sure whether they should start speaking out or not, commit violence, because then what that does is it turns them against you. Not only does violence...
It makes their job easy for, as far as in like, well, he's at me, I'm at him, done, under arrest, go, But, if you show empathy with police, you show how much you're hurting, you show, full body just love for your fellow man, that gets to them, and that's wearing them down. And that's what, I know countless people are doing that in these marches through the cities. And I know the police are feeling it. I'm getting lots and lots of calls of police who just can't cope anymore. Police are going off on stress. They just don't know where to go because they don't want to enforce this tyranny.
Yeah, I've had 7 different sets of cops come to my place since the 24th of July protest, which I was covering as a journalist. And the funny thing was when they all came to my house, it was funny just listening because they tell you I'm from this station, I'm from that station, and it's like it's really interesting because they all had varying opinions on this stuff, And I really want to smash this narrative. There are some idiots out there that paint all police officers as Freemasons. It's a kooky idea, but this is what some people say. And I'm like, no, guys, they're humans just like you and me. Like my brother could be a police officer. My sister could be a police officer.
Yeah.
For God's sake, it's people from the community. And just to paint a picture of this, I distinctly remember. I won't say the station name because I don't, I don't want to, pull them out into the open. But there was one station in the western suburbs and they came out to my place and they said, I asked them if they're going to get the juice or not, the jab. And they said, hell no, I'm not putting that in my body. All 4 of them. It was hilarious. And I was just like, God, you guys are so funny because it's like, they come and they do their duties and they do their checkups.
Yeah.
And then you
Mate,
wake up, they're
mate,
just like,
I'm the life of the party most of the time. Christmas parties, I'm doing shoeies and everything else. Like we're fucking people.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm a surfer. My core reason for joining the cops is because I wanted days off to surf.
yeah,
I wanted to
yeah,
help too, but ultimately, what job could I do that would allow me more time in the surf and I keep getting paid? And I thought, oh yeah, 6 weeks holiday a year. Well, that sounds good. And
yeah,
ultimately that was it. And you want to help too, but really, we're freaking people.
yeah. I love that. Yeah, they're humans, damn it.
Yeah,
Look, the reason I want to have this conversation is for any police officer that's listening and you want to join a community where you can feel supported. If you click the link in the description, there's a Telegram link which will take you to Alex's Telegram. You can follow exactly what's going on there, and there's also a website which will allow you to find some information regarding police officers and exactly what's going on. Um, I strongly recommend any police officer that's, you know, listening right now to go to those places. You're not alone. If you speak up, we got your back. There's so many people willing to help you, and that goes for any other group we've talked about.
yeah, it does, and that's where we're going. We're just going to have each other's backs, and I feel that's the way that humanity is going. And the harder they push these agendas on us, the more forceful, the more restrictions they take, all this sort of stuff, the more we'll come together. Love will win at the end of the day.
Mm. Alex, you're. I'm just over the course of the show. I've been watching the comments come through, and people are finding your humility and honesty endearing. And I commend you for your courage and leadership.
Yeah, look, all I wanted to be was a piece of paper. I just thought sending that thing through, show the police that there's evidence that we're not being told the truth, show that we're acting unlawfully, and hopefully maybe someone else will step up and do something.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it didn't get to that point, but what I'm finding now is that, I'm done what I've done, and what I've revealed is that they are more scared of the truth being exposed than we are of them.
That's-
You know, there's you don't know how much power you have as an individual to just do the right thing when something's been done wrongly and unethically, and you do the right thing and you just with integrity. It just you don't understand how much power you have until you actually do it. And I think that's my message to these police. All that you have to do is do the right thing. They have nothing. They have no facts. They have no law. They have no policy. And you're protected by all these things. All you have to do is the right thing. And you do that, another officer will follow because they want to do the right thing. They're sick of being against the people. They want to be able to go shopping without someone coming after them because they're just, that what sort of world are the police going to live in? And, their world's getting very small because they're going to hit a point, even though they've had all their jabs and doing all the right things, they're not going to be able to leave their home because they've inflicted so much harm upon the population. But like I said, as soon as they do the right thing, we'll give them a big fucking hug.
It, it's amazing how much panic one honest man can spread among a multitude of hypocrites. That's a quote from Thomas
Yeah.
Sowell, and Alex, I commend you. Is there anything else you'd like to leave with the audience to finish off the show?
Uh, Mate, I think it's been said. I think the messages are there. It's up to the police, and that's what I'm trying to get across. The police do the right thing, and that's all it's going to take. As far as the jab's concerned, I can offer guidance there. I'm working with Advocate Me, who have the biggest hearts in the universe, to try and help these people legally and lawfully get around this. So reach out to us, reach out to Advocate Me. We'll help you. Even if you've had one jab, doesn't mean that you're, 1, 2, 3. There's going to be a point where you can say, oh, enough's enough. Come to us then, and we'll do our best to help you around that.
Absolutely. The biggest mistake I see from people that are messaging me, not just police officers, but everyone else, is thinking it's over. They got their double jab. 50% of the country is on board with this. No, 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 no. Guys, they're going to reset that clock, and it's going
Mate,
to become.
there'll be another invisible virus that comes after us after this one. Don't think by getting all these jabs you're going to have any freedoms. At best, they're
Absolutely.
going to be a privilege that they're going to allow you to do. But your
Absolutely.
freedoms are going, and unless we unite as humanity, they'll all go.
Absolutely. And look, Alex, more power to you. I take my hat off to you. You're a bloody legend, and I can't wait to see how your message resonates, just like it has with Graham and Mac and John Latta. But
Mate,
more power to you, brother.
those boys are just bloody Aussie boys. Like, none of us are anything special. Like, all we're doing is just saying truth, and it's resonating so much with people that people want to hear more and more and more. I guess until they get the courage to do it themselves. Unfortunately, you don't know the power you have until you actually just do it. Just say no. Just, you know, especially police, just say no. That's unlawful.
Mm, absolutely. All right, guys. If you want to follow Alex, go to his Telegram. It's in the description. Also, follow the website online. It has a lot of very useful information for a number of different professions, not just cops. But guys, this is another interview brought to you by Turning Point Australia. I'm looking forward to having many more people on board. Hopefully, a firefighter very soon, and maybe another officer. But guys, this is the sort of thing that the mainstream media are not doing. That's what we're committed to. And if you want to support what we do, remember to go follow our social media. The link's also in the description. And that's the best thing you can do. Alex, thank you so much. You're a bloody legend. And I can't wait to see what else the Lord has in store for you.
Oh, mate, who knows? It's been a roller coaster so far, and we'll just keep doing the right thing, bring them down with love.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I'll see you later.
Cool, brother.